Hi, I'm Kristen Connolly. I'm the elected clerk recorder and registrar voters here in Contra Costa County. Over the next 2 months, high school students will be interviewing elected officials of their choice to learn more about their work. We hope you will enjoy this series we're calling Democracy Dialogues.
Hello, my name is Armaan Raza and I'm a rising senior in Orinda. Today I'm interviewing Lynn Mackey, the Contra Costa County School Superintendent. So tell me, for both me and viewers at home, what is it like being the Contra Costa Superintendent and what is your day-to-day job like?
So my day-to-day job, I was elected in 2019 and I've been serving as the superintendent since there. I run the County Office of Education, which is an agency that both does oversight and support for our 18 school districts in Contra Costa County, as well as the charter schools that are in Contra Costa County. We do our day-to-day, like right now is budget season, so all the school districts are turning in their budgets that their school board approved, and then we will go through it and make sure it is all in compliance and either approve it or work with them. And then we will also look at their school plans, their LCAP plans, to make sure that they are in compliance, and then we also provide support such as professional development for teachers and administrators, and then we also run our own schools as a County Office of Education. So we run schools in juvenile hall, the county jails. We do some CTE, career technical education, and ROP in the school districts, as well as a school for students who might be expelled or just need an alternative placement from their school district.
So speaking on budgets, you said that you kind of oversee the budgets for different districts. Seeing that schools are kind of known in the news for having problems with budgets and budget cuts, do we have that problem in the Contra Costa County? And if we do, how do you deal with those hard decisions? So
it really depends. Countywide, we're all okay. All of our budgets right now, except for one, are in a positive certification. And that's what we want. When we submit it to the state, you want to be in a positive certification. As you know, we have a very diverse, economically diverse county. So we have schools that you would think are very affluent. However, they don't get all the auxiliary or all the supplemental dollars that a school that might not be so affluent gets. And so you have schools like even in Orinda, which ends up being one of the lowest funded school districts in our county because they don't have a really high number of students who have special issues, right, that need supplemental funding. So what we do is we work with the school districts. They'll turn in a budget and then we'll go through it. We have one district right now that we're working really closely with. They're a larger district in our county, and they are really grappling with some budget issues, and it's because they have declining enrollment. That is happening throughout most of our county right now, which is declining enrollment. And the way we are funded as in our state is it's based on attendance. So you have to have students attending in order to get those dollars. So when you lose students or they start becoming homeschooled or they enroll in private school, you lose money, even though you need the same supports and access that you did with more students. So, yeah.
So you mentioned that you started this in 2019.
Yeah.
Obviously, COVID was a big impact on education. What did you see as problems arise during COVID, and how has that changed the education landscape since we started?
Well, of course, the biggest thing was just that we shut down, right? We shut down to keep people safe, to keep our hospitals, safe, to keep all our students safe. We did shut down, and that caused quite a bit of havoc for students. So some students had the access and opportunity to be able to do really well from staying at home, being virtual. They might have had people in their household to be able to support them. And then some households didn't. You had two parents that really needed to work from home. You had students that were just didn't have as much adult support. So you really did see a disparity in that area. And then you had students that were losing family members, that really tragic things were happening. And then we had students that weren't really affected at all by it. So we saw that reading supports, a kind of early education was a challenge, because you as an older student may have been able to access the technology better than the little ones coming up, right? So the ones that are learning their early literacy probably, to me, was the biggest struggle and the hardest. So now, fast forward, we're all back in session. We spent, since we've been back, a lot of resources. All the school district got resources to try to do interventions and provide opportunities for students that were falling behind. A lot of tutoring resources, a lot of just additional support. And now those funds are going away. Those funds are starting to roll off, even though I think as a society and as a county, we know that all those services are still needed in our county for those students. So that is a struggle, is where are we going to make the cuts that are going to need to be made, because the dollars related to COVID we're losing those. And how are we going to continue the supports and services that these most at-risk students really need in order to succeed?
So quickly on that, seeing that, of course, we've reopened our schools, do you think that the education system has adapted to that, or do you think that we're still recovering, or has it grown and become better since COVID shut down?
Well, I think, there's some school districts that really put in place some really good virtual schools that are continuing, right? That are still thriving. So a lot of families really found that they preferred more flexibility, and they're doing more of an online situation. Now, one way that we haven't fully recovered, we still have a number of families just doing straight homeschool, that they've opted out of the public school system, and we had an increase of people going into private schools at the time when the public schools weren't open. So I do think we're still in the process. I mean, we aren't that far out of it. We are still in the process of adapting and taking all the positive that we did learn about how to really meet the needs of students, like with multiple, just in multiple ways. And I think we're taking what we learned and trying to apply it, and then trying to really heal and support the students that still have a lot of kind of baggage from the pandemic, a lot of effects from the from the pandemic.
Yeah. So you've spoken before about kind of your unique experience with education and your GED, and that's how you kind of got into that. So how do you think your kind of unique experience and kind of unconventional experience with education has affected your kind of values as a county superintendent?
Oh, that's a great question. When I started at the county office, so I not only was I a student at the county office back in 1979 in one of those schools for expelled students, I also, my first teaching job out of college was at the County Office of Education. And what I realized was I had never had a good school experience from the time I was small until I dropped out in middle school. I'd never had a good school experience. And so I really came with it at this lens of we have to fix it, we have to fix it, we have to fix it. I don't want any child to kind of have this experience I had. And then as I got into school administration, and especially now that I'm a county superintendent, I get to go around to these school districts and see amazing teaching and learning. That not everybody is having the school experience that I had, right? That the majority of people are having a really good school experience. In our county, we have a higher rate of graduation than the state does. We have really good stats overall as a county. Now, when you go, like I said, we're very diverse, so some schools and some classrooms are not having that experience. But I really did come into this role thinking, I want to make sure that nobody has the experience that I had and that my friends had. We were kind of, we were more of the alternative ed type of students, and we were not, I don't think we were giving all the opportunities and all the respect and encouragement that students who fit into a traditional educational system were given.
So now that obviously things have changed over all these years, do you think that these systems that you used to go through for those that are expelled and those that don't have conventional education, how do you think that they've changed and evolved over time?
Well, to some of it hasn't. I remember being very surprised coming back and saying, wow, nothing's changed. I actually became the principal of the school that I was in when I was out of the district, right, when I was needed to find an alternative placement. And things had not changed. They really haven't. And we have worked really hard at the county office to hire teachers that really have a caring spirit for students that might not be fit into traditional education, and to really help students meet them where they are. You know, not everybody wants a traditional pathway. Now, some do, so we really want to give them the opportunity. If you want to go back to your district of residence and be successful and get back into a traditional pathway, we want to totally support them. But if you don't, then we will try to work with you to find however it works, whatever your pathway is, so that you can become a successful, productive community member. That's what we want to try to do. You know, I really encourage people to go to community college. That was my saving grace, was going to community college before going to college. And they, you know, it was just an amazing experience. Or into trade schools. Or if you want to do that four-year experience, we want to work with students so that they can have that. That just some mistakes that they may have made in their high school years doesn't set them back.
That's amazing, yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously you've been on all sides of the education sphere, from educated to educator to now superintendent. What do you think now are your biggest concerns with the Contra Costa district for schools?
So Contra Costa as a whole, I really do try to focus on, for the districts, just where they need support, give them support, you know, try not to interfere, because it's really local control. All of our 18 school districts have their own school board, and they all have, and we have 18 amazing superintendents across our county. So I just, where I need to do my oversight, I do my oversight. Where they need support, I try to find out from them where they need support. But for my own programs that I run, I really do try to focus on our programs for homeless students, programs for foster youth, programs for incarcerated students, really those students that are more marginalized and may have not had the access and the opportunities. And I really do think that is an area that we should focus on, and we do. Our county, as we like to say at the County Office of Education, really does prioritize doing good work in our juvenile justice systems, or our legal system, I should say, and really supporting students, foster students, and students who are homeless. And we really make that a priority at the County Office of Education. Now, countywide, the issues that schools are facing right now are staffing issues. Like there's a definite staffing shortage. We had schools that couldn't find substitute teachers this year. I'm trying to encourage everybody to, if you have a BA, become a substitute teacher. It is really good work. The more subs we have, the better the work is, because you don't have as much overcrowded classrooms. But we have staffing shortages across the county. Funding continues to be an issue across the county. Like I said, some money is being pulled back, and we did get a bit of an increase, but it doesn't match the increase of the services schools are expected now to provide, right? Schools now are expected to provide mental health services, feed everybody, really all these kind of community services, have access to medical and emotional supports on campus, but we aren't necessarily funded to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think every school thinks that's a great model, to have everything available to students all the time. But we aren't funded to do that. And if we want to have really high quality schools that does that type of work, we need funding from the state in order to be able to do that work.
No, I definitely know the impact of substitutes. I had a substitute teacher take over my English class, and he was amazing.
Oh, good.
Shout out Mr. Modelewski.
Excellent.
Speaking on mental health, you talked about how kind of a lot of schools are expected to deal with that burden, even though it's not always they're not always able to. Now that mental health has become a more prominent issue for younger generations, how do you feel that that's kind of bled into the education side of their lives, and how do you guys plan to deal with those?
So I think when we talk about the whole child, right? So we no longer think of students as coming here to schools and just getting their academics, right? We really do think about how are we serving the whole child. And So in our county, we partnered with our behavioral health, our county behavioral health, which is an amazing department with Contra Costa County, and we got a fairly substantial grant to provide services throughout the 18 school districts to train teachers, to train staff on some what we call tier one, kind of the basic level of understanding around mental health issues, how to support students just kind of on a human level, right?
Definitely,
you know, there's things you can just do on a human level that will really alleviate anxiety and stress with students, and then it won't compound to become a true mental health issue, right? So we are doing training in schools around just basic understanding and suicide prevention, and how can we support, and then we've also helped some of the districts get grants to get more counselors on site. And so I know that across the county there are more counselors on school sites now than there were prior to the pandemic in order to support students. And it really is, I really do think it's more, it shouldn't just be on the schools, it really is societal. Like, what can we do to alleviate the stressors for parents in order to support children at home? And if children are getting everything they need at home, they'll have a better chance of focusing and getting what they need at school. And it really does, it's that old adage, it takes a village. It really does take a village to educate a child. It shouldn't just be either the parents or the students or the teachers. It really takes everybody.
Yeah, at my own school we have a wellness center that was recently opened, and I know many friends that are able to go there and feel safe.
Yeah, I know that Akalani's was really on the cutting edge. They were doing wellness centers before other people were doing wellness centers, the school district, and they are a model that we even look to try to get professional development from, because they're doing such a good job with it.
So one last question on a brighter side of things.
Yeah.
What do you think is the favorite part of your job that you kind of look forward to?
You know what, the favorite thing I do, so we run the County Teacher of the Year program for the 18 school districts. And so I get to go in to see each Teacher of the Year that has been nominated from their school district, and I see amazing teaching and learning by going in there. It is so fun, and like this year there were some TKers, so I got to go in and be with the little, you know, 4-year-olds and these amazing teachers, and that is definitely the most fun. And then just doing the really good work, and you know, I was a principal in juvenile hall, and now I get to go back and see the good work that we're doing in our own schools.
Well, thank you so much for speaking with me today.